Hello, I'm Ian Trevethan. I'm the Education and Outreach Director here at the Sternberg Museum of Natural History, and we are going to show you a new way to museum. Today, our subject of interest is teeth and the shape and size of teeth and what they can tell us. So behind me here is a very, very famous fossil here at the Sternberg called a Xiphactinus. Most people know it as the fish within a fish because it's actually a large fish with a smaller fish inside of it. And one of the most prominent features of this fossil are these big pointy teeth. So when I do tours through here and I ask kids, hey, what do you think it's doing with these teeth? Their answer is it's chewing things up. But do fish really chew their food? If you've ever fed a goldfish, you know that they don't actually feed or chew their food when you feed them. They actually just sort of open their mouths and cause a suction, and whatever's in front of them just goes into their mouth. This fish is very similar. It would open its mouth and cause a suction, so whatever was in front of it would go immediately into its mouth. So what's with the big, pointy, scary teeth? Well, one of the ways I think about it is, what do we do when we eat our food? I know we're not fish, we're not big, scary fossils, but we can kind of use some of our eating strategies to compare to this. So when we eat food, we use silverware. So one of the things I like to compare to a Xiphactinus is its teeth are very fork-like. So what do we do with our forks? Well, we're not cutting our food, are we? We're actually grabbing and holding our food so we can get it into our mouth or so we can cut it. Now, this guy isn't using silverware. He doesn't have arms and legs. He's just got his face to get his food. So his food is a living fish. So when that fish gets drawn into its mouth, do you think that the smaller, the Gillicus here, is going to willingly go into its mouth? No. That fish is like, oh, it's a mouth, I don't want to be food. And it's going to try to get away. And that's where these grabbing and holding, or fork-like teeth, come in real handy. Because he can grab and hold his food while he kind of pulls it in to his body cavity and down into his stomach. So what these teeth, because they're long, they're pointy, they don't really have a serration or a blade-like edge. They're just really good for grabbing and holding. So he's not chewing or processing his food with those teeth. He's just grabbing and holding, much like a fork. So one of the other popular sea, or I guess fossils that we would find in the ancient seaway here that was once over Kansas about 80 million years ago, is we find a lot of shark's teeth. This is one of the most common fossils you're going to find in this area of western Kansas. And most of us recognize shark teeth. They're very pointy, or at least this kind of shark tooth is. And it's got a serrated or sort of knife-like edge. So this tooth is a lot more similar to a knife. Well, what do we do with knives? Well, we certainly don't, I mean, I guess we could if we were savages. We could, you know, sort of stab and put it into our mouth, but that's not really what we use our knives for, is it? We actually use our knives to cut. Now, again, a shark doesn't use silverware. It doesn't have arms and legs. So what a shark does is it often takes a bite or a chunk of a larger animal, and it sort of does a back and forth motion, which allows the knife edge to sort of cut in the same way that we might cut a piece of meat or steak or something like that. So that's usually how animals do it, is they either use a jaw motion back and forth, or they actually shake their heads back and forth, and that's how they're able to cut chunks using these knife-like teeth. But just because this is a shark, does that mean that all sharks have pointy, knife-like teeth? Well, not really. I've got two teeth here that are very, very unique in shape. And this may be hard to see, but we'll try to get a close-up of it for you. These are teeth of a shark called a Tychodus. Now, a Tychodus was not a shark very similar to like a great white with these big knife-like teeth. This is a little bit different. We don't normally think of sharks eating the kind of food that this animal eats. So during the time of the Cretaceous, when Kansas was covered under an ocean, there were lots and lots and lots of clams on the seafloor. In fact, it's one of the most common invertebrate fossils we find in this area is clams like Inoceramus. So here's a good fossil of Inoceramus. Well, these are clams. They're covered in shells, right? Turns out that if you look at these teeth, they're rounded and they have little ridges on them, and they are perfect for crunching clamshells. So again, the shape and size of these teeth are perfect for doing that job, for crushing the clamshells to get to the soft meat inside. So that's how Tychodus made a living. And they would have rows and rows of these kinds of teeth, just like other sharks have rows and rows and rows of pointy sharp teeth. So teeth are very, very informative. If you can find teeth associated with a skeleton, you could pretty much figure out how this animal used those teeth and what its feeding strategies were. Now you know.
Thanks for joining us in A New Way to Museum with the Sternberg Museum of Natural History. If you enjoyed this video, like it and subscribe to our channel. Hit the bell for notifications when we release a new video. Support us on Patreon for early access and exclusive content. You can also follow us on all our social media. Links are found in the description. Thanks for watching, and follow your curiosity to new discoveries.